What's up people, it's Wasabi and I'm back with another review. And today we have the Endgame Gear OP1 8K. This mouse is not sponsored, but as always with the content on this channel, these are my thoughts, personal opinions and experiences with the product. Now before we get on with the review, here's a quick look at the packaging because that's what you pay for too. First you got the mouse, I got this one in the white colorway. All the accessories are kept neatly in this envelope. You got a quick start guide, one cable tie, one set of rubber grip tapes, a set of white skates, a screwdriver to unscrew the base of the mouse, a user compliance guide, and that's pretty much all that's included inside the box. And before we go any further, let's manage some expectations here real quick. Endgame Gear is a brand from Berlin, Germany that started sometime in 2019 and they have a reputation for excellent build quality with their gaming mice. Really, that is the one thing I keep hearing about Endgame Gear, which in the gaming peripheral world isn't something you hear quite as often as you'd like to. Today we are looking at the OP1 8K released earlier this year, 2024. This is a wired-only mouse with a right-handed symmetrical shape and a weight of 50.5 grams, and this is available for a price of about $75. I can't say that I'm a fan of the design or that the mouse looks outstanding in any way. It's a very basic-looking mouse. I do like that the scroll wheel, side buttons, and the base are black on this white colorway though. It's a sporty-looking contrast which is fitting for a crazy performance mouse like this. Now this is a wired mouse, so obviously a wire is going to be visible on your desk all of the time, but if you're not fond of the sight of a cable, I recommend to use a darker mousepad. What I think is very cool is how they design the base and the skates because it leaves space for you to access the screws, which then you can easily detach the base without peeling off the skates. Endgame Gear does sell switch packs and cables on their website, so that is something interesting if you want to try something new with this mouse. The build quality is outstanding. This thing feels very strong and built like a tank. There are no wobbly bits. The mouse buttons, side buttons and scroll wheel are very well fitted in the mouse. Just from the moment that I picked up this mouse, I get why so many people love Endgame Gear's quality. Now before I get into more detail with the shape and how it feels from my experience, to put things into perspective, my hand size is 17.5 by 9. This is not a shape for everyone. This is a small mouse, and not only is it small, it is very skinny. There are no comfort grooves in the mouse button design. The front of the mouse sits very low, and the hump peaks up further towards the back and drops down at a steep angle, which for my hand size feels pretty nice. It's not a hump that feels full in your palm, but something like holding onto a ball, and it's a good enough amount of support for me. The sides are very flat, which for a skinny shape like this is great because it feels fine to pinch the mouse further up to the front or closer to the back, and makes it very accommodating for different users with where they place their fingers. Other than that, there's not really much to the shape if you compare it to other mice that have noticeable curves and side flares to them. For me, this is a shape that gives confidence for micro adjustments, but it's not a shape that I find comfortable to use for an entire day doing everything on my computer, but it does do everything right just for gaming. For casual day-to-day use, I'd be a lot more comfortable with a different shape. Now here's a reference to help people visualize the different grip styles on the OP1 8K with reference to my hand size. With my hand size of 17.5 by 9, I find this mouse quite comfortable to use with any kind of claw grip. The skinny shape, low front and backward hump makes it feel like you have so much control over the mouse with this grip style. The palm grip style is one that I use quite often on other mice, but here it feels a little too skinny for it. The length is fine, but it leaves you wanting more from the width and height towards the front of the mouse to feel natural. The shape is excellent for a claw grip, but not one I would recommend for a palm grip. And finally, a fingertip grip style is very doable here. The flat sides lets you have a good hold on the mouse even when you place your fingers further up to the front or the back, and you got a good amount of room to move the mouse around without it bumping on the inside of your palm. The stated weight on the website is 50.5 grams, and on my unit with the skates that it comes with and without the cable, it weighs in at 47.3 grams. With the cable attached, and this is really not the weight you are experienced, but just to give you an idea, it weighs in at 82.4 grams. The coating is phenomenal. Just a little bit chalky, but man, this is a role model example of what a good coating for a gaming mouse should feel like because you get an exceptional level of grip here. It is a dry type of coating, so if you have very dry hands, you might want to use the grip tapes. These have exclusive Kailh GX switches, and just to share based on Arting's click latency results, it has the lowest click latency on any mouse today. What's interesting is their exclusive Kailh GX switches and how they work. There are 3 modes that you can use. Because these switches in particular have 2 contact points, one at the top and one on the bottom, and while the mouse is resting, it's always touching the top contact point. So normal mode is where the switch registers clicks like any regular mechanical switch when the switch is pressed down and the shrapnel touches the bottom contact point, and it then sends a signal. In GX speed mode, it pretty much sends the signal as soon as the shrapnel is no longer touching the top contact point, which is faster than sending the signal when it reaches the bottom. And GX safe mode only sends the signal when it loses contact with the top contact point and touches the bottom contact. It is quite technical and they have a better way to explain it, so if you are curious, I'll leave a link to that Discord post in the description below. There is barely any pre or post travel on my unit. The clicks feel crisp and tactile, could be lighter for spamming, but as they are, they feel pretty good. And on my crispy meter, with the way they sound and feel, I would put them right about here. The side buttons feel very tactile and are super loud. The size, length, and position of the side buttons are great for a mouse of this size, but I wouldn't say that the side buttons are comfortable to use though, and it's because of the pointy design that you feel when you press your thumb into it. But other than that, pre-travel is almost non-existent with a decent amount of post-travel towards the end. This scroll wheel has a fair bit of resistance and tightness to it, and the notches are very distinct. It's an excellent feeling scroll wheel if you prefer a stiffer experience, and you get a lot of grip from the rubber. Scroll clicks need a moderate amount of force to actuate. It's not a scroll click that I find easy to spam, and they are very loud with the clicks. This mouse is fitted with the port 3395 that lets you go all the way up to 26,000 dpi, and it's been incredibly responsive and tracking perfectly with my time with it. For reference, you can check out Arting's sensor test results. It's pretty much the lowest sensor latency on any mouse today. Tracking and performance is incredible, and I think it's just amazing that they can get this much performance compared to more expensive options with newer sensors. Connectivity wise, as you should know by now, this is wired only, and you can set up to 8000 Hz wired polling rate. The software for the OP1 8K is very basic looking, and from what I've read, it takes no more than 2 MB of RAM, which most gamers would be very glad to hear. It's very efficient and loads super quickly. You can adjust your liftoff distance to 1 or 2 millimeters, set up to 4 CPI or DPI presets, which you then cycle through with the mode button under the mouse. Under the advanced tab is where you can toggle motion sync, select your polling rate, filters for all buttons, and you have unique modes for the GX switches. And you also have 6 programmable controls as well. Just a simple software packed with cleverly thought out features that lets you fine-tune how the clicks behave based on your use. The OP1 8K comes fitted with their small skate configuration without the sensor ring. They recommend to put on the sensor ring if you're using a soft density pad, and also include a set of wide skates if you prefer. These are pretty good stock skates for controlled glides, but if you have a preference for fast glides, you might want to try some aftermarket options. The OP1 8K has been performing flawlessly. It's incredibly responsive, and the shape gives you so much control in your aim. I've been using this at 8000 Hz polling rate on my Zowie 400 Hz monitor, and it's been buttery smooth with my experience. And I'm not saying that it gives me any sort of advantage or makes me a better gamer, but it's just an experience which honestly is the whole point of trying something new, and not pay to win. But that aside, I would not main this mouse because I enjoy the freedom and clean look of a wireless mouse on my setup, but for the days I want to change things up a little, I can use a wired mouse just for the fun of it. It's kind of refreshing. For the price though, there's no other mouse that beats it in performance and value, but it does fall in the wired mouse category, so if you are looking for a wireless gaming mouse, I don't feel like you should look into this one. But if connectivity isn't something you care about and you just want the best performance in sensor and click latency, then this is as good as it gets. As great as this mouse is and the value for the price is fantastic, before you jump the gun, just ask yourself if you're okay with using a wired mouse. Because if you use it for 1 to 2 weeks and put it aside because you prefer a wireless mouse, then perhaps you want to consider waiting for the upcoming wireless version. So in conclusion, what are 3 things I like about this mouse? I like that they offer something different with the switches that it comes with. You know, lots of mice would usually offer what's most popular in the market, but this takes on a different approach, and quite honestly, the approach that most brands should do. New ideas that benefit the performance of the product. product. I mean, sure, we're at the point where comparisons are in the milliseconds, but that shouldn't mean that brands should stop pushing for better performance numbers on the spec sheet. The second thing is coating, and brands should take notes. I usually prefer rubberized feeling coatings, but this here is the best dry coating I've ever felt on any mouse. And the last thing is a very thoughtful skate design that makes this mouse so easy to modify. Now, what are 3 things I feel could be improved with this mouse? First is a flat base design, and I think for a mouse like this, it will have a very strong appeal to gamers who like to tweak their experience of their mouse, and most probably try different skates, so having a flat base design would allow more freedom to place the dot skates. The second thing is the side buttons and scroll wheel are very loud, and for the price, picking on this is a bit too much, but I would like to see in the next version if they could make it a little quieter with their experience. And I don't have 3 things. For the price, I felt like I got more than my money's worth with this one. Now, final thoughts and what I think of its value. The OP1 8K is good. It's really good. I love how simple it is, and for the price, you get incredible performance. It's lightweight and built like a tank, a true quality product, and the amount of love and attention it's been getting from gamers is very well deserved. Even though I know for myself that I would most likely use a wireless mouse because I like to keep things wireless on my setup, this is a mouse I would not get rid of. If you want absolute performance and good control from a mouse just for gaming, and if a wire doesn't bother you, then at this point in time, there's nothing better than this, and this is it. If you're keen on giving this mouse a try, here are a couple of tips I can think of. First, I would suggest using a smooth mousepad to reduce cable drag if you don't have a bungee. Second thing is use a black mousepad so that the cable doesn't look too obvious on your setup. And the third thing is that you might want to consider getting a mouse bungee if cable drag is a concern for you, but I would recommend getting it sometime after you got the mouse. You know, see how you like using a wired mouse first before you spend money on accessories. Or if you have a Zowie monitor, you can use the hook on the back, and that is something that I do to hang my wire. Or maybe you can improvise and buy a hook and stick it on the back of your monitor. This is a brilliant mouse, just a little difficult to get because it is sold out quite often. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to support the channel, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.